Very good afternoon. Welcome to Africa Today on Hills TV. I am Udwak Daniel. First, let's talk the headlines. And on the headlines, gunmen kidnap naval officer in Kogi. Still on the headlines, Mali receives ECOWAS ban upturned with joy. Also on the headlines, Zimbabwe to introduce gold coins as local currency declines. And on sports, FIFA president congratulates Rivers United on NPFL triumph. And now the news in detail. Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osibajo says expectations are high from President Sissoko Embalo of Guinea-Bissau as he assumes chairmanship of the West African regional body, that is ECOWAS, alongside a newly composed commission regarding the output of the body. Osibajo stated this while speaking with journalists at the end of the 61st Ordinary Session of the Economic Community of West African Community and States, that is ECOWAS, held in Accra, Ghana. He said the leaders must work harder to resolve lingering issues in the region. According to the vice president, adding that President Nana Akufo-Addo did an excellent job in a very challenging period in the history of ECOWAS, and many of the challenges remain. The vice president disclosed that the new leadership under the President Sissoko Embalo must step up efforts and address those very many responsibilities that the region faces today. Earlier at the opening session of the summit chaired by President Akufo-Addo, the efforts and commitment of Nigeria under President Muhammadu Buhari in containing the COVID-19 pandemic and addressing other challenges across the region were appreciated by the authority of the heads of state and government of ECOWAS. Away from that story, let's have you know that bandits on Monday abducted Reverend Father Emmanuel Silas of the St. Charles Catholic Church, Zambina, in the Kauru local government area of Kaduna State. The Chancellor, Kafanchan Catholic Diocese, Reverend Father Emmanuel Okolo, confirmed the incident. The development sparked protest among priests in the Kaduna Archdiocese, forcing them to carry placards venting their anger and the deteriorating state of insecurity across the country, especially in the state. This is coming less than a week after the remains of the slain Reverend Father Vitus Borogo, also a Catholic priest, killed by terrorists on his farm, were buried in the state capital on Thursday. Borogo was killed on June 25, 2022, while his brother C.Y. Borogo was kidnapped by his abductors. On to another story. Nigerian naval officer with the naval headquarters Abuja, Musa Lawal, has been kidnapped by gunmen. He was kidnapped in Lokoja, Kogi State capital, at his residence at about 8 p.m. on Monday after destroying his doors and windows. The naval officer was scheduled to depart for his station this morning before the unfortunate incident happened. An hour after the kidnappers called his wife, demanding 3 million naira. When we return, news from other parts of West Africa. Don't go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is Africa Today on Hills TV. Malians have expressed hope and joy at the decision of the regional bloc ECOWAS to lift the sanctions imposed on Mali's military regime. West African leaders accepted on Sunday a March 2024 plan to return to civilian rule. Transport operators and carriers in the country expressed joy as, according to them, the ban made their economy go down, and expressed hope that the lifting of the ban meant progress for everyone. The sanctions have badly hit the landlocked Sahel state, whose economy is already under severe strain from a decade-long jihadist insurgency. After months of talks, last week, Mali approved a plan to hold presidential elections in February 2024. Mali underwent coups in August 2020 and May 2021. On Sunday, ECOWAS also agreed to allow Burkina Faso 2 years for its transition to democracy. Also in the news, a copy of ruling documents seen by newsmen revealed that Guinea-Bissau's top court have overturned the convictions of two alleged drug kingpins in connection with the country's largest ever narcotic seizure. Brahima Saidi Ba, a citizen of Guinea-Bissau, and Ricardo Areza Monge, a Colombian national, were sentenced in 2020 to 16 years in prison following the September 2019 seizure of 1.8 tons of cocaine hidden in flour bags. The issue returned to the fore in February when a government cabinet meeting was attacked by heavily armed gunmen. President Umaro Sissoco Embalo described the assault as a failed coup attempt linked to drug trafficking. In its ruling, Guinea-Bissau's Supreme Court threw out Ba and Monge's convictions, saying the evidence did not bear out their guilt. It let the 10 other convictions stand. We now move to other parts of Africa after this break. Do stay with us. Quite a delight to know that you are there. Angola's capital, Luanda, will host a meeting in an attempt at mediation between the president of the DRC, that is the Democratic Republic of Congo, and neighboring Rwanda. The meeting takes place against the background of tensions between the two countries. Angolan President João Lourenço will receive his counterparts Felix Tshisekedi and Paul Kagame, as relations between the two countries have been deteriorating for several weeks amid the resurgence of the M23 rebel movement and the intensification of fighting in eastern DRC. Kinshasa accuses Kigali of supporting the rebels, a claim denied by the Rwandan authorities. Defeated in 2013, the M23 Tutsi-dominated movement took up arms again at the end of last year, blaming the Congolese authorities for not respecting an agreement for the demobilization and reintegration of its fighters. In May and June, M23 attacks had caused the death of several dozen civilians. More than 170,000 people were displaced to neighboring Uganda. Last month, East African leaders agreed to set up a regional force to try to end the conflict. And now to Sudan. Let's have you know that Sudan's top general announced on Monday that the armed forces would step away from government in a bid to resolve the political crisis. In a televised speech broadcast on Monday, coup leader Abdel Fattah al-Burhan said the army would make way for a civilian government. General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, Sudan's coup leader, called on the various components of the people, especially the youth, to adhere to peace, adding that everyone has the right to express their opinion and the sacrifices of the people are appreciated, adding that the armed forces will not stand in its way. According to reports, since last year's coup, the UN and other regional blocs have tried to broker a way out of the political deadlock. Monday's announcement came after 5 days of peaceful sit-ins by pro-democracy groups. Burhan promised to dissolve the ruling council, but did not specify any dates or who would replace the military at the negotiating table. Away from that story now to Ukraine, let's have you know that the effects of war in Ukraine has continued to be felt across the world. The Horn of Africa is particularly vulnerable, according to a statement on food security stated by Newsman. Prior to the conflict in Somalia, reported and imported 90% of its wheat from Russia and Ukraine. In the capital, Mogadishu, food stocks provided by international donors have been depleted. The burden of food shortages is directly related to the fact that the world has turned its back on Somalia to focus on Ukraine. Most of the aid to Somalia came from the West, but now the attention and aid has been diverted to Ukraine. This is of great concern, said Shafishi Ali Ahmed, storeroom manager at Peace and Development Action, supported by the UN's World Food Programme. As the prospect of hunger looms large in Somalia, A large part of the country is also affected by drought. Syria, Iraq, South Sudan, Congo, and the Palestinian territories are similarly affected by reductions in food aid. Coming right up next on Africa Today is Business News. Don't go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. It's time to talk matters that concern numbers, and as we introduce to you the business news right now. Ahead of the plans by the Federal Capital Territory to stop the sale of alcoholic beverages in parks and gardens in Abuja, owners of recreation centers have written the Minister of the FCT, Mohammed Bello, reminded him that Nigeria is a democratic society. This is as they called on the minister to uphold the rule of law, call his aides to order, and stop the enforcement of the closure of parks and gardens by 7 p.m. in the Federal Capital Territory, that is the FCT. In a letter written through their lawyer Ifeanyi Remiagu, the business owners pleaded with the minister to call the Senior Special Assistant on Monitoring and Enforcement, Comrade Ikara Atta, to order. They argued that the issue of criminality, which was reported in one of the gardens, does not mean there will be criminality in all other gardens to warrant the enforcement of the regulation of closing by 6 p.m. And now let's get on to Zimbabwe's central bank and have you know that the central bank in Zimbabwe has said it would start selling gold coins this month as a store of value to tame runaway inflation, which has considerably weakened the local currency. The central bank governor, John Mangudya, said in a statement on Monday that the coins will be available for sale from July 25 in local currency, US dollars and other foreign currencies, at a price based on the prevailing international price of gold and the cost of production. The gold coin, which can be converted into cash and be traded locally and internationally, will contain 1 troy ounce of gold and will be sold by local banks and other designated sales outlets. Talking economy, economic activities may just be recovering in South Africa following the deadly flood which occurred early May. Reports revealed that South African private sector activity expanded at a faster rate in June, helped by growth in demand and employment. Output and new orders increased at quicker rates, driving employment growth to the strongest in a year. While the Ukraine-Russia war is posing some levels of hindrance, especially supply chain, S&P Global South Africa Purchasing Managers Index, that is the PMI, rose to 52.5 in June from 50.7 in May, posting its highest reading in just over a year. Economist David Owen said it was encouraging to see the PMI jump to a 13-month high in June as the number of businesses saw a drop in clients' demand due to rising price pressures. Keep in mind, this is Africa Today, and still to come is sports. Don't go away.
very good afternoon to you and welcome to Sport News on Africa Today. I am Richard Badung. On the news, FIFA President Gianni Infantino has praised newly crowned Nigerian Professional Football League champions River United for their historic feats. Against all odds, the Port Harcourt-based team emerged as the 2021-2022 NPFL winners, having missed the opportunity to do so in the last 3 seasons. In his letter addressed to the president of Nigerian Football Federation, Amaju Pinnick, the Swiss Italian said, "It is a great pleasure seeing a club like Rivers United Football Club being crowned the 2021-2022 champions of the Nigerian Elite Division League." Rivers United were declared champions in the ongoing season with 3 matches to spare. Away from Nigeria now to Morocco, where South Africa's Banyana defeated Super Falcons of Nigeria by 2-1 in the opening game of Group C of the 12th edition of the Women Africa Cup of Nations on Monday evening. 9-time champions and FIFA World Cup ever-present Super Falcons were also defeated by South Africa only 10 months ago and on home soil in the city of Lagos in the final match of the first ever edition of an invitational tournament. In the first 45 minutes, both teams were unable to achieve any breakthrough, but South Africa were up 2-0 within 2 minutes of the hour mark after Jermaine Seposenwe hooked the ball into the Nigerian defense to get a clear chance to beat goalkeeper Tochukwu Oluehi from close range and Natalie Siseni adding a second. Rashidat Ajibade reduced the deficit when she found the ball at her feet in the box after a good work and passed by Captain Onome Ebi. Speaking after the game, head coach of the Falcons, Randy Waldrum, commented on the outcome of the encounter. Meanwhile, cup holders Nigeria must gain all 3 points against Botswana in their second competitive match on Thursday to revive their hope in the current campaign. Still on sport news, annual Lawn Mowers World Championships took place in Headington, Wiltshire, over the 2nd and 3rd July. Undaunted by a scheduled clash that saw the race go up against the F1 British Grand Prix from Silverstone, organizer Ian Radcliffe believes that this sport could be even more competitive. The Ferraris and McLarens might have been missing, but there were several categories of racing depending on the sophistication of the vehicle. Driving conditions were tricky, sleepy and initially very bumpy, so not great for this grassroots motorsports. And that's your sport news on Africa Today. Back to Udwak Daniel for the rest of the news. I am Richard Badum.
Richard Badung, thank you for that one on sports. Still in the news, mass protest was held outside the UNHCR's office in Rabat, Morocco by African migrants on Tuesday. It comes after dozens died Friday while attempting to cross by force into the Spanish autonomous city of Melilla from Moroccan territory. The Spanish Attorney General's office announced on Tuesday the opening of an investigation into the incident. In a statement, a member of the protest said they went to the city of Nador and they were beaten badly, killing their friends and families. At least 23 migrants died and 140 police officers were injured, according to Moroccan authorities, when some 2,000 migrants tried to cross the high wire fence separating Melilla from the northern Moroccan border, town of Nador. And that's Africa Today, but before we go, a quick look at our headlines again. We told you gunmen kidnap naval officer in Kogi. We also told you Mali receives ECOWAS ban upturned with joy. Also on the headlines, we said Zimbabwe to introduce gold coins as local currency declines. And on sports, FIFA president congratulates Rivers United on NPFL triumph. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hills TV, Instagram at Hills TV. Our YouTube channel is at Hills TV. I am Uduak Daniel. Thank you for watching.